Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Paolo, and the model I would like to present you today, it's a quite famous one that I think I sold worldwide because everybody was in love with this truck series of the 50s. It was the Chinese 6, or also known as a Fiat Buffone in Italia, and the serie, the commercial numbers was Fiat 682, 690, or with minor slightly modification 693. Why I'm making this video? Because in the last few years I improved a little the original master that I made now, I think 4 or 5, no, even more, I think. I honestly don't remember right now. I think it's something of many years ago, by the way, and it was a master that already have been improved 2 times, because if you are following me since the beginning of this adventure with this Fiat commercial vehicle, you also know that I made a very early production of the Chinese 6 truck. It was the first casting that I made of my original cab. That is the master. It's the green master model that you see going around in contest. I presented nearly all around Europe, and right now it's still going on in Italy for contest and so on. So it's a quite famous model. You find plenty of videos and the presentation of that famous one. But it was a very early production of the Chinese 6, and the real difference with the cab that I'm selling since some years now, and its production now is mostly in the rear hatch, because that first one had these 2 windows that were a little in a larger position, and also these 3 bars, it's a reinforcement part for the back panel. They were not here, but there was just a lot of little like little plates, and it was a little different, in this part. That was honestly the very first production from Fiat. You can see in different trucks they use both this one or the previous one. That was a very early plate that they placed in the production of Fiat, and then they changed it into this, probably for some molding reason. I honestly don't know why they changed it back in time, but this is the most common one that you can find around, And my cab have been improved now, because after several years the master was the master mold was done. I made too many copies of that one, and the master the mold was done, so I had to recast the rubber and remake the new resin for this model. And every time that I have to do this quite expensive job, I improve some details. The original shape of the cab never changed. What you have in the hands, if you already bought these trucks for me, you see that the truck is basically the same identical one. There is no difference at all in the original shape of the model. There is just a little more adding of details. Following me, you also know that I also can provide now the Fiat logo made in a photo etched set here in this. This is the position, but also to make with the first original Fiat logo that was in this side is not a mistaken part. It is a so interesting truck, and you have so much freedom in the building up of this model that you basically can do what you want with this cabin. It's enough that you search for some pictures around of the 682, 690 or whatever, and you see really that there is everything. You can absolutely do everything. Recently I crossed some pictures of this cab still in use in Africa, because this was under license produced in Nigeria, and so a lot of trucks were still active in the 90s. So for them is a truck that is currently still not new, but still on the road, absolutely still working. There is plenty of wonderful pictures of these monsters going around Africa, overloaded, anyway still working. For me as an Italian, this is so nice to see this stuff that we made in 1954 still around in Africa and still working, still helping the people to do what they want, because they were incredibly reliable. There was stuff that never gave up. No, it was stuff that always worked. They are famous because if you have an original one, a real one of this truck. There is no electronics at all. There is no electric part at all. So it's another that you just place inside a fresh battery, and the motor 99% will start in the half with the half key, you know. So this is stuff that don't happen today with the modern stuff. You know, modern trucks is like starships. They are more than complicated, you know. So I don't think that the modern stuff will last 70 or 80 years like this stuff is doing currently in the country that mostly allow them for the pollution and for the emissions, you know, that they have, because this is stuff that if you see them working, despite the lovely sound that the motor, the 6-cylinder, was making a lovely music sound, you know, but honestly, okay, it was with the standard of pollutions that probably they neither considered back in 1954, you know, so we cannot consider this as something that is okay to be active and working in, you know, in ordinary cities, you know. Anyway, back to the Master. I mean, the model have been improved in some minor detail. Like I said, you can see here I placed a little detail over the front bend here. There is 4 different little plates here. It's very small, teeny details. I hope you can see that, you know. That detail is nothing impossible. It's something that if you have the older cab, you can add. So it's not something new and different from the previous cab. It's just a little adding of the detail because I had to remold the rubbers, you know, as well as I place it, even if probably it's unuseful because this way will be very complicated to print. I placed a photo etched set already over the front part. This was the opening for the radiator chest, you know. This was a little opening that they had under a little lever. There was a little lever under here you can open, and there was the beginning of the radiator, no, to refuel the system. And it's really something that in the previous model this was completely flat, you know, because there have been series of the 690 and 682 that didn't add anything at all here because Fiat changed the logo during the years. Fiat changed the logo 4 or 5 times, you know, and so very often this part was not used because the Fiat logo was the 2 older one, active I think until the 60s, the 70s, not more, and then they just had the modern plate Fiat here. So really, I mean, just as probably many of you know, because I know that a lot of people watching to this video already bought this cab 3 or 4 times, you know, the names I remember. So, and I'm glad of it because it means that you really like the truck and you really like to work with this model, you know, despite it's quite simple, I know, because it's just the 2 hatches, you know. I just sell the upper part and the lower part, so all the rest should be scratch build from a donor truck. I constantly talk about the Revel bushing that already have been reissued 3 times since I restarted to sell the cab, as well as you can use an ordinary old Mac from AMT, a Peterbilt, something like that, you know, because the mechanic was extremely similar, at least the scheme of the 6-cylinder engine and the proportion of the wheels, despite they were mostly 125, so the wheels are not suitable for that. Instead, in the boosting, you also can use the wheels, paying attention to the fact Revel made them in a soft vinyl rubber that after some years start to leak oil. So because of that, I also sell, as you know, the complete set in solid, rigid resin for with the Trilex, with the European, with the Italian Trilex, sorry, because the Dutch Trilex was a little bit different from our one in Italy, you know, a little bit different in the deepness of the rims, of the brackets of the rims, you know. And other improvements, I simply increased this little fin. Is nearly impossible to see this little fin. The front windshield look different. In reality, is absolutely not, because I made something that, in my opinion, this started like a model that I wanted to build for myself, because it was one of the last cab not suitable for sale. You know, I saved one just for me because I wanted to start the 690, and during this process it happened that the mold was done, and so the guy making the moldings told me, Paolo, we need to make a new one. So he was starting to make a copy of the copy of the copy. Then I started with the brand new Master. So this is coming from a brand new Master, basically, because I completely improved all the part there. Also the lines up here in some picture, these nerves up to the roof are a little bit different, so I just remake them in this position. They are all minor details, it's not something important. I was talking about the front window, and it was because in the previous version you had an internal cornice that was mostly a kind of help to place the window inside, instead in this one I took it away because looking closely to the picture, maybe you can place by your own the inner cornice, that was much more simple to build up, but I see that many modeler builded it up, keeping that in, so it's not mistaken. In many pictures there was also a very, very big cornice, so here, so also that is not a mistake. Just check carefully the up to 3000 picture that I provide to everybody that take my cab. As documentation, I don't have any paper or there are unuseful instruction, and I know that people out there, the modelers out there, are more skilled than me in making this kind of model. So it's enough that, like I would like to have when I build up this kind of model, just to have piles and piles of documentation and pictures about the real thing, so I can just go on and copy the subject that I want to do. As I said, in Africa I was crossing a nice picture of this cab, probably mounted over a much more recent chassis of a Mercedes or a MAN, because it was not matching at all, that the wheels were different. It was really, really something extremely strange. There is also this picture in my folder collection for this stuff. The lower part of the cab indeed have been modified in a little detail, because in many, many pictures there is this stuff. I think it's the air filter that I just placed there. It's just a simple part. This was uncleaned steel. This is just a part that usually during the build you don't see, because the truck is in this position. Can be cleaned, can be detailed. It's something that is not directly visible, in the finished model. Plus, something that in my opinion was interesting and probably absolutely useful for the modelers, because I see that during my build I built it up one for me, and I remember 3 or 4 for customers, like ready build models, and 2 of this one they didn't want to share the picture, so they asked me to keep them private, and that's it. But now, because one of them was a 690T, I wanted to make one for myself. So soon, if you follow my Facebook page, my channel, and whatever, I will build up this cab like a 690T truck, the tractor version of the 690, and then see, or make it like a airfield tanker or something like that, or a special vehicle. But anyway, this will be a 690T cab. I like them so much, so I'm not done with these trucks in my collection. I see that every time I also present in the contest the other Fiat that I made, the 697, the 180, the coming soon, the 170s and T. I see that people love also the H cab model, the one made with the unique and Magirus Deutz. But I see that the real love for the people, the real appreciation is around this old mustache, this old Buffone type. Buffone is really is a stunner, it's something that when you see that also yesterday been to a very, very important contest here in Italy, one of the biggest and most important groups we have here in Italy, and also there I hear the comment of the people. They are in love with this kind of truck because it's old, and in the contest we had a lot of modern Scania, Mercedes, DAF, whatever, but just to see the shape of this old entire truck, the smell of the Italians of the 50s, spaghetti, vino. It was something, guys. I'm still so much in love with this truck, really. I want to build up at least, I think, for myself a 690. I plan for a 693 because the dumper, I want absolutely to have a dumper that should carry also a trailer with a caterpillar over it. So it's a giant work going on. I don't know, but I want to build them up. And again, another 682, maybe something that was used also by the Italian railway to like a tractor for wagons and so on. So there is a lot of work going on. I mean, I'm not done with this cab. I like them so much, guys, that it's really something that if you like historical truck, if you like the historical Italian stuff, this is like a kind of Ferrari. It's too important for the commercial vehicles down here, and also around Europe and around the world, because really I see that this truck have been appreciated. I think one of the last that I sold was in New Zealand, so they also were loved also down there. So it's a little bit far away from Torino and from the production point of this stuff. Last but not least, I made a little addiction. This is a cab that I have to post soon, so it's already packaged. I constantly clean them a little bit, never so much, because of course in a building like this, the drop lines and some minor detail is of course obvious that can be damaged in a plastic, in a resin cast, so I know I never had any complaint honestly about this problem, but it's something obvious. I mean, if you buy something like this, you have to understand that there is a kind of scratch build absolutely going on, and the last detail that I had to this box, price is the same, I didn't check still the bill of the guy casting it, but I think it's really nothing more, and I think it's very, very useful. I simply add inside a little part more, that is the steering wheel, that is made in this way. I see that many guys during the build up of the truck have a little bit problems in finding these three sprocket steering wheel that was so classical for this vehicle. I never provide the dash, because depending from where they were operative or not, the dash could be left hand drive or right hand drive, so I don't provide that because they are different. So if you check the picture, there is a little different in the shape of the filter. So this part usually that I'm pointing with the black line, this part is where there is the dash, and in this side you can build it up, but the steering wheel is always the same. So the steering wheel is a part that you can notice through the windows, through the windshield and so on. So it's important that you keep the correct one, and that is a little plus more. And I also added the two front hooks. These two ones are the front hooks that must be positioned here, That also is something that all the modelers can make it by their own, and I will know it. I see the builds where they absolutely do it, but I mean, if I had this little detail more, is already something that make it even more simpler, at least to finish the cab in the proper way. Then the interior seats, they were extremely Spartan inside. There was nothing, so is extremely simple to make it, and the stuff that you can see from outside is anyway something. So apart the seats and the steering wheel, the rest is up to you, and what to say more? Nothing. So this is the last edition. This is the last edition 2022 over 2023 of my cab, and it's currently in production right now. So if you want to order, just drop me a mail. Now I'm making several of them because every time they end pretty soon, and it nearly always happens that I'm out of it, so I don't have it for sale. But now I make a kind of big series of that. So don't search for copies. I remember the guy, the kiddo, who was in south of Italy, that would try to copy my stuff, also try to get in touch to me again recently. For me it was quite ridiculous to see the face of this guy trying with a fake account to keep in touch to me. Man, Giovanni, I don't sell anything to you any longer, so please don't contact me, because you will not have anything from me directly. Then of course, if you convince some of your friends to take it and to copy, is up to you, but this is the last one, guys. So I really hope that you still like my work so much like you did until now. Have a little improvement every time that I make improvement to my cab. I think that is the definitive cab. This probably will not have any further improvings, in the cast, in the molding, because I think maybe I can add parts and so on, but I don't want to increase so much the detailings of the versions inside, because if I am close to sell parts, for example, I sell parts to make a 682, then people that maybe want to build up a 690 or vice versa, I sell part for the 690 that was slightly different from the 682, they cannot make a 693. So it depends, it really depends. I think this is the basic stuff, and I always try, despite I know that is also a little bit expensive cab, but believe me, it's absolutely worth it, because once completed, everybody looking at this collection will say, hey, this is the Chinese 6, the Buffone type, the Italian truck, the spaghetti truck. Yeah, it's him. It's absolutely him. So thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy the build up of this incredible machine by Fiat. Thank you.